I'm sorry. Sharon DeWitt. I just want to clarify that I think in the eyes of a lot of citizens of Candia, it was not a matter of the sign not having the proper markings on it, because there were other signs out that did not have the proper markings on it. The statement was also made that they felt they had the authority to do that. Carlton was removing signs, and Carlton is not a current selectman. So if they felt that the authority reached to the selectman, he should not have been involved in that anyway. But I do not believe, and as do many, that it was an issue of the signs not being properly marked. It was an issue of Amanda not standing by what she states in meetings, and she felt it was going to hurt her campaign. So I think that while I understand what you're saying, I think that, you said it's been happening for years in town. If we don't give people incentive to stop the bad behavior, it's never going to stop. And so, yes, it may cost this town a little money, but that'll be further incentive for people not to do it. And further incentive for people to say, hey, you can't do that. You cannot touch those signs. I think at this point, given the history of behavior, Amanda had also in the past referred to Joe as a drunk in public. She's slandered other people. In her recent mailing, she's smirking now because she thinks it's funny, but in her recent mailing, she made a comment about making sober decisions, which I personally feel was a very poor choice of words. And also, again, referring to Joe and her statements about him being a drunk.
Excuse me.
Absolutely inappropriate.
Mr. Chairman, a point of order, Mr. Chairman. This kind of conversation is not what we're here for.
It's exactly what we're here for.
What we're here for is to solve the problem, get rid of it.
Yeah.
What's happening in this town happens in most towns throughout the state.
So then it's okay.
Generations. And I think now that as more towns are becoming aware of what's happening or what has happened, and the publicity that's been given this point, that towns are going to start slowing down on their picking up other people's signs and so on. And
I'm sorry, could he identify himself too?
Charles Bowman High Street.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for that,
But
continue.
could I have the floor back? Thank you. I disagree. I think that's exactly why we're here. I think that's why a lot of citizens came out. And from what we've heard is that one person can't talk about it, another person refuses to talk about it. So it's not going to get talked about and swept under the rug, which everybody's afraid of. Well, this is going to cost legal fees. It would cost legal fees to sue. It would cost legal fees for this. It would cost legal fees for that. So the people who were exhibiting this bad behavior are continuing the behavior because there is no sanction. And that's not acceptable to me. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm going to defer to over there. I think we're done.
Ingrid Burge, Depot Road. Having been the recipient of some of this so-called bad behavior for years, from, as far as I know now, the so-called educated people in town, my signs were taken down year after year when I ran. I know who took them because they were identified. I chose to just say, the hell with it, it is not worth it. They showed themselves for what they were.
And what was that?
Which is a narrow-minded, bigoted person who couldn't deal with opposition. Now, in the past, my husband's car was vandalized right in a school parking lot during a school district meeting. It was reported to the police. Nothing ever happened. I would just like to remind everybody here that everyone is innocent till proven guilty, and that part has not happened. We're doing a lot of slandering one way or another. We're doing a lot of bad-mouthing. I think it's time to stop.
Okay,
Oh, go ahead.
you can go after. Mr. Cartier, you're up.
I just wanted to take a little bit of umbrage with what Dick had referred to before. Let me start off the fact that all 5 of you up there are elected officials. Every single one of you took an oath of office to uphold the laws and the Constitution of the state of New Hampshire, not only to the best of your abilities, but to the letter of the law. You were held to a higher level of scrutiny than anybody else is because you were an elected official up there. When you take and destroy that public trust through things like stealing signs, giving false information, things like that, that can't be tolerated. I don't care if it was done in past generations. This is a new generation that's in here right now, not something that was back 50 years ago. It's got to be open, honest, and ethical government, and I don't see that happening this year. I see too many things just happening. You know, Ingrid's absolutely correct. Ingrid and I have had disagreements in the past, but I respect her as a person, and I wouldn't steal signs or anything like that because I know she's an intelligent woman and she is honorable.
We'll come after you.
But it just is frosting my butt phenomenally this year and last year to see this town disintegrating into something that I think is a very unethical and a hugely embarrassing situation that I really like this town, but right now I'm looking at it and going like, oh my God, I hate to tell anybody I'm from Candia, but I just couldn't take that anymore. You've got to do something, whether it's censuring for what's going on, because as was said, there were two other people that were stealing signs. You've got to do something to make this stop. Just like the union leader editorial said, something's got to be done in a high-profile case to stop this from ever happening again. I'm sorry.
Chairman? No, that's fine, thank you. I think she's next.
Jennifer Neville Chiesa, Adams Road in Candia. I think that you've proven that you are not worthy of the town. You can't be trusted. You're not telling the truth after we're seen doing things. I, unfortunately, was the one that drove by you, Fred, when you were taking one of those signs. And I don't see how you can be trusted after that, and lying about who gave them to you or where you got them. Unfortunately, you were seen doing it and I think you should resign.
Linda Bergeron.
Can I speak? I understand people have strong feelings about these matters. I think it is correct. We are elected officials. We were elected, and our duty foremost is to prudently oversee the business of the town. We're not a court. It's not our job to determine guilt or innocence or right or wrong about people accused of whatever, or members, if they're members of the board or what. It's just not our job. We're not a court. And for us to do that, I think would be exceeding our responsibilities given by statute. So whatever's happened, we have a town, we have a police department, we have a state, we have an attorney general's office, we have civil courts that can deal with civil disputes, and I think those are the places for matters of this type to be remedied. And members of the board here may have been advised to not say anything, and if so, they're sitting silently. And I really think that asking for the board here to do something is beyond what the board has authority to do.
Yes, Linda Bergeron, Diamond Hill Road. I just feel that there has to be some accountability. And to not see or hear anything that's going to take place is frustrating.
Good. Yes, sir.
Bob Dabrowski, High Street. Maybe her recorder recorded something I didn't hear. I thought Sharon asked the board if you would ask for resignations. I don't remember hearing any requests for legal action tonight. This board can ask for resignations with no cost at all to anybody. I mean,
No,
second of all, and by the way, the content of those signs, ironically, talks about people can be replaced at any time and all of this kind of stuff. Kind of ironic, isn't it? That the very nature of what was on those signs that got everybody all riled up is something we won't even talk about addressed here tonight. Skating around and dancing around, fooling around. No wonder Rudy's all upset. Who wouldn't be? I mean, this, if you don't do something affirmatively, You don't request a resignation, you don't just do nothing. You're gonna be stuck in another year or more in a quagmire of all the shenanigans you just went through for the last year. Pretty well guaranteed then.
No, I don't disagree with that statement. Fortunately, I think with all of the concerns going on around town, we have an election tomorrow, and I think we'll make some decisions. And I think once that decision is made as who will be here, I think then we'll probably proceed with some more action. I don't think this is done. I think there's an atmosphere and that's not healthy here. I just want to read this to you because this is a fan mail I received. And I had my wife read it, and she was really disturbed about it. I want to read it to you. This is the type of thing that somehow has filtered into this wonderful community of ours and turned it into a little bit of disease growing places. This is addressed to Selectman Duarte. That's me. You are irresponsible and an embarrassment and a disgrace to the town of Candia. I regret voting for you for both selectmen and state rep. And I assure you, we are organizing a well-funded group to make sure you will not be reelected to either position. Why don't you resign, go back where you came from with the rest of those massholes? That's funny, isn't it? I don't think it's funny, I think it's disgraceful. This is a disease. And you know what's bad about it? No name, no address, so I don't even know who sent it. I don't mind dealing with this, but this is an underlying problem, and this is what's been going on here, what the community is feeling, I've been feeling for a while. It's not healthy. The only way, I think, that this will be finally resolved is once the election is in, and we have our first meeting, and hopefully I'm part of that meeting, and then we'll take some further action, because we've mentioned time and time again that if you're allowed to do the wrong thing and no one really makes you pay the price and understand what you did, there's no incentive to stop. They're going to do it again, and that's been going on for a while. And like I said, my father used to tell me when I was smaller that the fish goes bad at the head, and I'm part of the problem. We all are. Board of Selectmen is consisted of 5 people individually, not one person has any power. As a group, we can. Unfortunately, this group cannot work together. It's very evident. So there's got to be some changes. And I apologize for this community going through the shame, the embarrassment. People have been humiliated. We've had employees talked to like they don't know what they're doing. We have bullying. There's a lot of things that's been going on here that's improper, and sooner or later, somebody's gonna come in and stop. And I understand the frustrations, everybody wants something, it should have been done a long time ago. And don't think for a minute, if I had the power to do it a while ago, I wouldn't have done it 3 years ago. But I apologize for not coming in with a decision that, you might agree more to, but I have to feel that, well, tomorrow's an election. And there's not much I can do about it. I don't want to influence that. I don't want you to vote me in because you hate somebody else. I want you to vote for me because I'm the person you want. So that's why I'm keeping my mouth shut on that end of it, because if not, I'd be climbing the ceilings. I'd be way ahead of all of you. And I think the decisions that we make tonight are final. We're not done here with this. And it needs to be continued until it's cleaned up. And I want to rest assured that I'm not going to drop the ball if I'm elected. If you people put me back in power, we will finally get to the bottom of all of this, and there will be some actions taken. Again, in the meantime, I apologize for not being able to deliver, and I apologize for being the chairman here when this has been going on. And it seems like I had no control to stop it. And it's unhealthy. It's not good for our neighbors. It's not good for our community. Everybody pays taxes here. They shouldn't have to deal with crap like this. This is absurd, to send this to me. I don't understand. All I ask you is, bear with us for a few more days, and we're not gonna drop the ball on you, and we will address this for you, I promise you that. Yes.
Sorry, Sharon DeWitt. You're asking us to bear with you for a few more days. What happens if after tomorrow, Carlton, Fred, and Amanda are all in office? Who's going to lead that charge when the three people who were taking the signs, and they have the majority on the board? How is that going to then get resolved?
Well, it won't, that's why I want you to elect me. And that's a good point, and I'm glad you brought it up.